today provides hands-on cultural teachings as president and facilitator for Makatu workshops for both Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. He is Algonquin and French Canadian and a member of the Wagushig First Nation in northeastern Ontario. He has been working in the hospitality industry since 2009. He's been in hotel sales for a four-diamond property and a business development manager for Tourism London. He recently switched gears and completed the Indigenous Tourism Entrepreneurship Training. Please welcome to the Illuminate Project, Marc Forgette.
So Marc, obviously we can see your backdrop there and see you're in your workshop. Can you just give us another tour there and just pan over to the right? I wanted to see some of the...
Yeah.
So this is what I do, my embossing. So I'll show you, for example, putting logos on the leather. So this heats up and embosses whatever I want to do. This is what cuts out my medicine bags.
Okay.
So it starts off with big piece of leather like this, and then that turns into this little guy. So in the last couple of weeks, I've probably cut 2,000 pieces like that in the last couple of weeks.
My goodness.
Plus lace. I got to cut all this lace as well, all this leather lace.
Where's all the leather come from?
My leather, this particular leather here is from the Laurentians, just north of Montreal.
Okay.
Nice.
So it's all white-tailed deer leather, all hand scraped, and then it's the tannery is out in the GTA area. So it's all locally sourced deer leather. So it's beautiful stuff, nice and soft. Smells like denier leather in here.
Yeah, I could just imagine. I can almost smell it. I could hear the leather actually when you dropped it.
It's soft and supple.
Now, Marc, tell me, I remember when you first started up the business and you were just kind of finding a little bit of leather here and there. Was it true you were just kind of grabbing, pets that had moved on from the local neighborhood and skinning them yourselves and using that as leather? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I was going to the vet. The vet was the perfect place. And, I said, I have a crematorium just down the road and I can help you out. So I would make fires and take the ash from there and just put it in, mason jars and bring it back and saying, here, this is Fido. I'm kidding.
Marc, thanks for playing.
My friends and I are sitting there going, "Are you kidding me? That's the neighbor's cat."
You guys forget Marc and I worked together for years, so we're gonna have a lot.
I was sitting here thinking, I don't know how to react.
Well, I kind of caught on because I saw Ryan laughing. I'm like, wait a minute here.
Not keep a secret.
So,
no, it took me.
So we don't usually do this because we'll have an intro for you, Marc, but we don't usually ask our guests to kind of give us a recap and introduce themselves. But I think your journey is special. Would you be able to give us, for our listeners and viewers, kind of just a high-level summary of your journey of even the past 4 or 5 years?
Sure. Well, the last five and a half years, because I think Ryan knows me well, and Ryan knows that.
Bring it closer. Yeah, let's see that.
Yeah, show us. We have a video version of this. Let's see.
So I've got some fresh ink here from a couple weeks ago. So the TIPP at the bottom here of the arrow represents my business, which is part of my logo. The date is my first day of sobriety, and then the arrow represents my culture as an Algonquin and French person. Mm-hmm. And it started off, and we all know in the hospitality industry, we like our drink or two or more, and all our conferences, there's always parties and whatnot. So
yeah,
it was fun while it lasted, but on that day it was my birthday, and I remember waking up at 6:54, my wife saying, "Oh, happy birthday," and I was just clenching my chest in such pain. I had no clue. I thought I was having a heart attack. So she had to call 911. And after a couple weeks of tests and stuff like that, it turned out to be my esophagus that was the problem. And my doctor said, frankly, goes, "Marc, I know you well, and this is your final chance here." And so if you don't stop now, it's not looking good for you in the next 4 to 5 years. And so that was it. So that was the beginning.
Right.
The beginning of a heck of a journey, I'll tell you.
And drinking can do that? Like it can affect your, I guess it can. It's not something I've heard of before.
Well, everybody thinks it's the liver. And I remember watching that show on A&E, about, what is it called?
Intervention.
And you know what? I actually came up with the courage to look it up just to watch an episode. And I said, okay, you know what? Where are they at today? Half of the people who passed on, unfortunately, was cancer of the esophagus.
Oh.
Really?
More than half the alcoholics. So I was like, wow, okay. So that was that was the beginning. And luckily enough, because about a year and a half later, my wife was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. And so we kind of did that together. And thankfully I was sober for that, because that was damn tough. It was very hard. And and then I decided in June of 2019 to not renew my contract with Tourism London and start my own company called McAtoo Workshops. And that was, I had no clue what I was doing, tell you the truth. I just felt like I had a calling. I knew there was something there. I didn't know what yet.
Now, your company, obviously deeply woven in the direction of your company is the Indigenous culture.
Right.
How, up until that point, was that a strong, active part of your life, or is this something that was spurred on by the creation of the company?
Yeah, so before that, in the last 5 years, actually goes further back than that. My cousin, she's a doctor. She works in Indigenous health and communities. She's been on me for a long time to kind of reach out and discover or rediscover our culture as Indigenous people. And I just didn't have, the intentions. I didn't feel like it. I mean, to me, it was, hey, I was happy with doing what I'm doing. I think after I got sober, I felt lost. I truly felt like a lost soul. I didn't know who I was. I mean, I've been drinking for the better part of 30 years. So that was a part of my life. That's who I knew when I looked in the mirror. Every morning. I look at that guy who's hungover and go, I know that guy. Well, once you're sober for a year or so, 2 years, that became difficult to look in the mirror and go, I felt like there was a piece of me missing. And so I decided to start looking more into, my ancestry and follow that line, and decided to, about 3 years ago, decided to apply for my Indian status and kind of went down that line. And I said, no, this is what I need to do. I felt like I had that calling. Like I can't explain it, but I had a calling.
Like Mark, I remember seeing that. I remember the early stages of you talking about this business and everything you went through, and you could see it in your eyes. You could see the passion. I had worked with you for years in the industry, and it just something I could tell something switched in you. Like you could see it.
It really did. And you know what? I've been fortunate. Last fall, I was approached by Ottawa Tourism. Ottawa Tourism started a new program called the Indigenous Entrepreneur.
Oh wait, I have it for you. Watch this. I have it for you. The Indigenous Tourism Entrepreneurship Training at Algonquin College.
Got it right here.
Are those cue cards?
Certificate of completion. So when I saw that, I was hesitant. I wasn't going to apply at first. And then I said, well, what do I have to lose? Because they're looking for 25 people only for this program. And I said, you know what do I have to lose? They'll say no. And so I applied, and you had to write a little bio on what your business idea was and so on. And so I applied and I got accepted, and I was like, oh my God. And I remember getting on the call. There was about 30 of us on the call. The intimidation, because some people are there sitting there beating and stuff like that. I'm like, what did I get myself into? Wow. I felt very intimidated.
Did you have the imposter syndrome? Like, would you qualify it as that?
Absolutely.
Huh.
And that's definitely something that I did have, and I felt like I didn't belong. But you know what though? It was an amazing program. It was tough at times, and being a salesperson, as Ryan knows, we can fudge a lot of stuff. But at certain modules, I was like, okay, wow, I know I had to do this for my company, and I was I was putting it on the back burner, but I had no choice now to submit my assignment and face it. So I did learn a lot, and I'm so happy I did, because now they're doing it's called the Legacy Program. And so I've been invited back onto their advisory council and to be a mentor for the future programs moving forward, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
And I know, Mark, you've seen it out on social media, your video you produced with Ottawa Tourism. Tell us a little bit about that production, and we'll share the link in our show notes and everything with our audience, but tell us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, so that was the top 3 prizes that were given out to the top 3 who did their pitch. So the pitch was kind of dragon den style. So you had 3 judges, and you had to do your pitch in about 2 to 3 minutes of your idea, your tourism idea. And then there would be, winners accordingly. And so I was one of the lucky finalists in that. And so I got to produce this video, and it was actually absolutely amazing experience.
Let's hear about one of our sponsors.
Hey, have you guys heard about what's going on in the Wild West? I was chatting with my friends over at Tourism Calgary the other day, and wow, they're actually investing over $1 billion into their events and hospitality industry.
Right, that's true. By 2024, I heard they'll have the biggest convention center in Western Canada, with the expansion of their BMO center with another 500,000 square feet of space.
The Calgary Stampeders could probably play there. Calgary is the 4th biggest Canadian city and a major destination for meetings and events. This is going to totally transform the city's ability to host big ticket events and accommodate large conventions.
But the convention center is only one part of the revitalized culture and entertainment district, which also includes another event center and the Stampede Trail Festival Street.
Oh, and don't forget the upgrades to the Stephen Avenue pedestrian walkway. So seize the date. Space is filling up fast.
Yeah, don't horse around. Contact Tourism Calgary at visitcalgary.com and be part of the energy.
And now back to the episode. You sort of touched on a lot of big milestones, like big things that have happened in your life that you had to get through, So I'm kind of curious what your take is on this pandemic, that so many people struggled with. How did you deal with it? And would you feel that your sobriety or other milestones really was it a piece of cake in comparison, or were there things that, or was it still a struggle? I'm curious to know how you overcame that, or didn't overcome it, as it were.
Yeah, no, it was still a struggle. I think, like everybody else at first, my company was 6 or 7 months old at that point. It was really starting to take hold. I was at Tete-a-Tete in the Ottawa booth. We did amazing, and I was getting a lot of interest from there. I still remember March 13th. It was a Friday morning at 10 o'clock when everything started kind of falling apart for me. I had a client booked at the Shaw Center, and that kind of canceled, and then everything went downhill from there. And I remember being upset. My wife's like, "Hon, it's not just you, it's the world. Like, it's not just you, personally." And it took me probably about 2 months, because my whole business was built on in-person events, workshops. And it took me about 2 to 3 months, because I thought this was going to be over quickly. I wasn't going to, just turn my whole business plan around to go virtual. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that right away. But I noticed afterwards, I'm like, okay, I have to go virtual. And it was very tough. It was a tough go for probably 6 months. But I knew I couldn't give up. I had to keep pushing with Makatu. And like I said, that ITET training program kind of saved me, because that gave me something 4 months to do and to focus on, and to build my business and refine it. So I was really grateful for that. So I fell back on that, which was very helpful.
Yeah.
And then come January, it just took off from there.
Yeah. Like, because what I hear is that sometimes, or what I found is that, because, nobody wanted this, but it forced things to slow down and maybe gave space, right, for more reflection or fine tuning. And I don't know, that's kind of what I'm hearing, what you sort of mentioned in that.
Yeah, I don't want to say I'm happy that the pandemic happened.
No, none of us will. We'll never say it.
It certainly has given me, because my business was taken off quickly, and I was getting scared because I've never done this. I didn't have, my business plan went out the window after like the first 2 months, because things started going like this. Right. I was getting scared. I'm like, okay, whoa, what's happening here? I'm getting popular. And during my training, I remember one of the modules was, okay, find who your competitors are. What is your edge against your competitors? I did that, and I came up with no competitors.
You don't have one, yeah.
Yeah.
Even our facilitator is like, oh yeah, Mark, I kind of look to see who your competitors are. You have none. So I'm kind of like, in my own little space here. So
your own bubble, yeah.
Which is fantastic. I'm blazing the way here for hopefully others to come.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
I don't think you'll be the only one for long. I mean, let's hope. Like that's our feeling based on.
Did you ever think as an entrepreneur that this might be the end during the pandemic?
At one point, but I knew there's no way I was going to get back into the hospitality industry and sales. So I knew that was not an option. So my option was, and we always knew, my wife and I, when we started my business, was like, okay, if you don't make any money in 5 years, then go get a real job again. And so I said, you know what? I'm only in a year and a half.
That's nice. Nice she gave you 5 years. That's a lot.
Yeah,
she's very generous. She seems lovely.
So Ryan and I and yourself have similar backgrounds. Ryan and I are still in the real jobs. So my question for you is, as a salesperson in the industry, we love the industry, we love people, we love our jobs. We quite often say we're passionate about our jobs, but what does it truly feel like when your career collides with your true passion?
It's at first I was like, I couldn't believe I couldn't believe I'm doing this for a living. Like, I still remember my first workshop I gave, my first client. I remember saying, they're like, okay, well, we're looking for something for 300 international travel writers from 7 or 8 different countries around the world. We need this in 5 weeks. I'm like, sure, because I'm a sales guy. So I never say no. And after I said sure, I was like, what did I get myself into? Because I said, I've never done anything like this. And I still remember going to the first workshop when I got there in person and setting up, and I was like looking at that exit door. I'm like, okay, my car's parked right outside that door. I can just jump in and take off, and hey, that's it. But after that, I was on a high. I remember coming home on the biggest high. I'm like, oh my God, I got this. I got this. And every day, my wife's jealous. She wants to come to work for me. She has her own business, but she goes, your work's a lot more fun. And it is. And I'm really looking forward to when I'm actually doing in-person workshops again. Because that's being in front of people, as we know, that's what we live for. I can't wait for that, but
it's like you combine the best parts of both, right? Like
absolutely,
the parts that you love about hospitality, but then with the things that really, sing to your soul kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I knew I didn't want to leave the hospitality industry altogether because I love the people.
Yeah.
But I know I didn't want to be in sales forever either. But where do you go from there, right? So
do you think your sales background helped you a little bit in that, we're always saying, hey, we can pull this off.
Tenacity.
Kind of come up with a plan after to figure out how to really pull it off, right? It's
fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
That's why I hitched my pony to this guy's. They're like, we could just do it. Okay.
Absolutely.
The three of us will never get a business again now that we've let that secret out of the bag.
Don't tell our secrets, Tim.
I could tell you just how much operations loved Mark selling the dream at Brook Street. They always made it happen, but yeah.
Well,
I always push the envelope.
Yeah, and a good salesperson, you don't sell things that isn't possible, but you're always stretching the limits of what's possible.
Exactly.
And innovation.
And those days I'm doing that now because a lot of people are asking me for the impossible. I'm like, that's not possible. But I never say no. I say, okay, give me a couple of days to think how I could figure that problem out. And I always do, because I found that if I can dream it, somebody out there can actually make that a reality. I know that now. And even more so with the pandemic, I think a lot of people have taken their hobbies and made it into a business. And so a lot of the stuff I make, I custom make. I design, I draw, then I get them custom made. So for example, if we look at, for the medicine bag.
Sorry, Mark, I'm just going to say for those listening to the audio version of our podcast, You're going to have to jump over to the video on YouTube after to see what Marc's displaying because it's pretty cool.
Right. When I first did the medicine bags, and they said they wanted 150 of these medicine bags that look like this when they're complete. In 5 weeks, I'm like, okay, scissors. I'm like, how am I going to cut 500 of these? And they wanted them sewn. So I have to teach myself how to sew as well in that 5 weeks. So I knew I had to come up with a better way of cutting these. And so I designed this little guy here. So what you can't see is that this is a blade.
Yeah. Oh.
It's shaped like it. So when I put that in here, this cuts that down. So if I cut that down, boom, and it's cut.
Come on.
Next piece, one. So efficiency. So a lot of these tools I had to get designed. So I would design them, draw them, send them to this guy I know, and he would say, yeah, I can make that.
Yeah.
So a lot of my tools I designed myself.
It's like the age old though that we always say is like necessity breeds innovation, and that's what I love is that when you get given this challenge or you identify this gap and you're motivated, you'll find a way, right? There's always a way to do it.
There's always a way.
Okay, from the crazy solutions you needed to come up with, we're gonna flip over to our crazy 8 rapid fire questions.
It's a rapid fire, crazy 8.
Tim, you're smooth.
We know you're a loyal listener, Marc. So we know you knew this was coming.
Oh, I got my answers all here.
Oh goodness.
All right, I'm gonna fire these questions off. So these are quick answers. So what time do you typically get up in the morning?
7:05.
Plans or no plans?
I like to say plans with keep that open with no plans in there.
So like you plan for no planning times.
Right.
I know I like that.
I plan to leave at a certain time to get to wherever I go whenever I get there.
You plan blocks of no plans.
I don't think that's committing to either side.
I like it. I think that's what I do.
Live to eat or eat to live?
Live to eat.
Personal trainer or personal chef?
Personal trainer.
What sense do you rely on the most?
I would probably have to say my sight.
Okay. Truth or dare?
Oh, Jesus. Truth.
Truth?
Oh, come on, Marc. There's many dares that you've executed. I know.
So that question would have been a different answer 5 years ago.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Here, and this is a specific crazy 8 question for you. Medicine bag or dream catcher?
Medicine bag.
And finally, number 8, are you surviving or thriving in the status quo?
Thriving.
All right. That was a no-brainer. Why medicine bag?
You know what? That was one of the first things I ever made as a workshop, and I just refined it and made it better. And you know what? Next month, I'm working on an order for a client now that I'm delivering a virtual workshop next month for 1,500 people live.
Holy smokes!
Wow!
Is this your first live event?
No.
Since the pandemic?
No. I've done quite a few live events, just not that large. Usually they're 100 to 150 people, not 1,500. But you know what? I've learned that virtually, I only see the 3 or 4 people on my screen, and that's it. So to me, I'm only delivering this workshop to 4 people, not 400 people.
Yeah.
So I'm very comfortable when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
And Marc, you also kind of snickered at the 7:05. Why 05?
I don't like exact times, like 7:30. It's usually 6:55, 7:05.
Okay.
I always have to pump my gas and in a 5. So I
It's an 05.
and I can't leave the pump if it doesn't end in a 5. I gotta even
For
it up.
real?
Yeah, for real.
5's
I
your
don't know why
number?
I've always done that. No, it's not. It's just
But
has to end in a multiple of 5.
it has to be a nickel. You like nickels. I'm trying to figure this out.
Sorry, a 5 or a 0. So
A 5
multiple of
or a
5.
0.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Marc, I'm looking at your shirt, and obviously the Indigenous culture and all the mishappenings over the last years are coming to light. But I want to dive into the importance of diversity a little bit, because I know you've completely changed your business and what you really changed everything about your life in the last couple of years. Tell us a little bit about how you feel diversity is important in in a work setting and just the way you live through your life.
Well,
that was a long-winded question.
Yeah,
are you taking after me, Ryan?
I know. I've been listening to you too much.
I thought my friend was lowering her voice there for that question.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
I think diversity in the workplace is so important, and more so than ever, I think with for Indigenous people as well. I mean, the amount of people on. So just recently, I was invited to join the Ottawa Tourism Board of Directors for this year and for 21-22, and they want that diversity on the board, and not just men and women, but also other like Indigenous and Black and everything else. And I totally agree. I think it's important, and I know with my business, I also want to make sure that I hire first and foremost Indigenous people, but again, anybody for that matter. But I want my business to be at least 50%, diversified with other cultures, whether it's Indigenous and non-Indigenous. I think that's going to be important because I want people to learn about the Indigenous culture, and that's what they're going to learn at MACA2 workshops is about the Indigenous culture. So if they're white, hey, come on in, we'll embrace you, because again, there's a lot to learn. And in a lot of my workshops, I do teach about cultural appropriation, but also cultural appreciation. And that's a word we don't hear a lot about.
We're not hearing that word a lot, that's for sure. I like that you're bringing that up too, because there's also, I think that when we're looking at these topics, it seems there's a lot of negativity around it right now, a lot of anger, a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of defensiveness. That's kind of those are the feelings you get. So I think for some people, it's like people who might mean well are almost afraid to even go to the topic or address the topic, where, I think what you're saying about appreciation and compassion and gratitude, maybe if we start focusing that language into these conversations, maybe that'll ease it, and not make, it has to be addressed, but I think that we can do that as well, right?
I've never heard that term, but I love it, because it's a positive term, and it sees diversity as a strength. I think it sums it up perfectly.
Yeah,
I like that term.
Yeah, and that's part of Truth and Reconciliation is education. It's about educating and learning about the culture as well,
and realizing how much we don't know. I think a lot of people think we know some things, but just knowing how much more there is to learn, right?
Right.
So it's good. I'm happy that those dialogues and those conversations are becoming more at the forefront. I just hope we can use more positive language.
Well, it's just, it's making us as a society just be more open to the past and open to different perceptions and different perspectives.
Right. So I'm proudly wearing this shirt today, not only because of all the the graves we're continuing to find, but a cousin of mine was a residential school survivor. She passed away about 2 months ago now, and so I wear that in her honor as well, and to all those kids that never got to make it home to to their parents and whatnot. So, and to all those who are survivors. So, and it's going to be a long road, and it's going to be a painful road as we continue to do that. So, and September 30th is Orange Shirt Day. So, but I'm going to continue wearing my shirt as much as I can to bring awareness. So,
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I think that's a great note to wrap up on. That was awesome, Mark. I thought your story is inspiring, and we thank you for telling it.
No, thank you.
I thoroughly enjoyed being on the other side, Mark, and getting to know a different part of Mark that I didn't get to work with. So it's been really enjoyable for me to kind of I've actually just sat back and really enjoyed the conversation and hearing everything that you had to say.
Thanks for being part of the Illuminate Project podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts.
To carry on the conversation, follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter at IlluminateProj with an 8.
Switch your mindset, stay creative, and we challenge you to not just survive, but thrive in the status quo.